Welcome to AlphaCars and Ural Motorcycles of New England. I am super excited to share this vehicle with you, to share all the exciting details, to share the history and the heritage of this motorcycle. Today we're looking at a 2003, a three-wheel Ural motorcycle, also known as a Workhorse. That's the name that was given to this bike here in the United States. There were only 3 motorcycles legally imported into the United States by the IMZ factory, and this is one of them. Check this out. We'll talk about this detail in the future. This was not part of the motorcycle in 2003. Let's start from the front of the bike, because front of the bike is a very, very, very special part of it. For those that know Ural motorcycles, and if you subscribe to our channel, it is likely that you have a Ural motorcycle, and if you don't, you should get one. And we can help you with that. So this front fork, let's take a close-up. Check this out. Let's start from the wheel. The wheel is an automotive automotive rim from a Russian Moskvich, and obviously it's wider than one of the widest motorcycle rims of the motorcycles of this vintage. And let's continue with what happens to the fork after it is attached to the rim. And yes, this is all factory engineered, factory designed, factory built details. Let's zoom inside and check out the hub to receive this wheel, how it's done. And there are all the adjustments for the wheel bearings right here. You can see all that. So as we move up from the wheel, actually on the way, we see the Brembo discs and the early Brembo 4-piston caliper on a Brembo disc. And this is how Brembo made its way into a Ural motorcycle. As we move up in the world of the front fork of this Ural, we're going to notice this massive fender, which was also designed and built at the factory. And the solution was simple. They took 2 fenders, cut it in half, split it together, and there's a nice and neat seam underneath. And then, of course, it was refinished. This little detail is actually our own accessory, and we'll get to this one a little later in this video. And then it gets even more fun and interesting with the fork. Check out these headlamp brackets. Usually they attached to the headlamp directly, but the factory had to fabricate these extension or spacer bushings, and this is all factory made stuff, and it looks like we have probably close to 2 inches on each side. So the whole fork appears to be about 3.5 to 4 inches wider than a standard fork. And don't worry, we're going to get to ride this beast in a few minutes. So the history of this bike, the 3 bikes we're talking about, IMZ factory imported to United States, and all 3 were sold to, at the time, active Ural dealers. There's absolutely no information on the 2 bikes outside of this one. This bike was purchased by the owner of one of the Ural dealership in Texas, and he used it very little. When we acquired the bike from his son, it had a little over 3,000 kilometers, and it was not in a great shape. It was kept outside, and though Texas is no New England weather, but still it took some toll on the bike. And of course the engine wasn't running, the braking system was not working. The bike needed extensive, super extensive overhaul and restoration. And because of the uniqueness of this motorcycle, we were happy to do that. And if you visit our website, alphacars.com, there's a detailed listing on this bike which spells out, yes, we put a lot of love and work and a lot of parts in this build, and we're very proud of our work on this motorcycle. We very shortly after we completed restoration, we sold it to technically the second owner, who bought it for a great cause. The bike was used, of course, for riding and for participating in various fundraising events. And of course, it's done very, very, very well. And that explains this rare step bar that we custom built for the owner, because they often had older people getting in the bike, and it's much, much easier, as you can see, to step in and out of this motor vehicle. And by the way, when you're inside, it's very comfortable. So these nice blue pads, actually the previous owner did that, and he installed this very nice toolbox. And I like, and it comes with a little compressor, as you can see, and I like the shape that he selected, because it still allows for a person to, you know, kind of sit here, and we can still have another easily 2 people on this side and 3 people on that side. And if you don't need the toolbox, it's very easy to uninstall. There's a nice medical box right there. You can set it up with your goodies. Hopefully you would never have to use them, but it is right here. It's really cool. And this is a view of the this motorcycle from the top, from the rear bed. And it's really, really cool. So a little bit on the history of this idea. So we were told by actually someone from the factory. We had visitors here at Ural of New England, and including the director of the Ural factory. He was visiting us a few years ago. We talked about this bike, and he said the idea came from actually workers using the old frame and old parts. They created a vehicle that would allow them to move things around the factory. And then they took that idea, and of course they had engineers set up the frame, and they did a great job, because the Ural frame, as you can see, it starts here and it ends pretty much right here. And then from here back, you have a really properly engineered tubular frame, and the bed bolts to the frame. There are cargo boxes fitted in there, and they open, and there's some nice room there. Oops. So you can see, again, it's the same style lock mechanism as it is on the Ural sidecar trunk lid. So we're going to close this. Yep. Now let's take a walk around the bed. We saw it on the inside. We see it on the outside. We did this restoration probably 4 or 5 years ago now, and it's holding up awesome. Obviously, we overhauled everything from electrical down to every seam and every joint of this of the body and the frame. We installed a new gas tank, because the old tank obviously can fix anything, but we didn't have to. We had matching tanks, so we installed it. We went through the engine in depth. It is bone dry. It runs nice and quiet. And of course, we installed the new carburetor. We installed the new CDI ignition, and we have updated the engine to accept the proper later generation Ducati. It's actually Ural used Ducati module, so this is the one, and it says right here Ducati. So that was all done. We do have the parking brake, a working parking brake. Check this out. The way it works is you bring this up, and then you hook it into one of these tabs. And then when you need to remove the parking brake, all you need to do is lift it up and to the side and bring it down. And check this out. Let's talk about the drivetrain. We have the short drive shaft from the gearbox. Usually on a Ural as we know it, it would go to the final drive to the rear wheel, but here we have a short drive shaft that brings it to another flange, and then it brings it to a Ural-owned transfer case. It is actually a Ural-owned part. It's very simple. There are just a couple of gears and a little fork that allows us to engage it and put it in low gear, neutral, high gear. Very simple. And I've used it in low gear, just driving it around. We will try it today. It is awesome. And then in the back, it has an automotive style drive shaft. It's a shortened drive shaft from a Russian Moskvich that brings the torque to the axle, rear axle off of the same vehicle, Moskvich. And so we have the same parts, and they're all available as Moskvich. So we have drums, brake, shoes, wheel cylinders, seals if we need them, bearings if we ever need them. They're all easily can be easily purchased. And then the master cylinder, which we installed new when we did the restoration, is also from a Moskvich car. And look at this heavy-duty brake pedal right here. It's awesome. And there's a brake light switch right here. Very, very simple. So I think this is the time we're actually going to get it started. It does have a spare wheel in the back, and it's all metal construction. All metal construction. Check this out. Everything lines up. You have to just put a little, bring a little push on it, and look at it. I did it with my one hand, left hand, and it all worked out. So with this closed, it looks very, very cool. It is definitely an instant head turner anywhere you go. Like, you're talking Ural delay, UDF, Ural delay factor, when you ride your Ural with the sidecar. Multiply it by 3 or 4, maybe even 5, and that's what this gets. So you go to any show, it is going to take that show. You're going to pull up to a gas station, hopefully you have an extra few minutes to answer a few questions. So we did ride this bike over here. It's kind of cooling off, so yeah, the exhaust is completely cold, the carburetors are cold, the engine is kind of cold. We're still going to start it without the chokes. If it was a cold morning or in the winter, we would have to pull out one choke, the other choke like this, would get it started and run it, and then we turn the chokes in. But you know what? Let's start it without the chokes. And as any Ural, it has electric start and it has a kick start. So we turn the ignition on. We can see the light is on. We're going to turn the kill switch on. That's an important one. And here's the Kickstarter. Should we try it? Let's give it a try. So I'm going to place my foot on it. I'm going to give it maybe 5% on the throttle input and going to give it a good solid whack. Oops. Well, it helps when you leave it in neutral. So let's get it in neutral. Let's make sure it rolls. No, it's still now in neutral. With ignition on, let's get it started. And every Ural comes with electric start and with a kick start. They don't always start with a kickstart because it's a big engine, but we're going to give it a try. So with a little bit of throttle, with my left hand, with the camera in my right hand, I will try this because usually I'd use my right hand to just hang on to something for additional balance, but let's give it a try. Wow. Not bad at all. So this speaks highly, not about my ability to start, but about our technician who tuned this engine in the way that was so simple to start. It idles nicely and it's not fully warmed up. So we're gonna take it around the building and hope you enjoy this ride with us. So we are ready to go. Let's see how the Workhorse looks on the road. Grisha is taking off. Looks like we're shifted in second gear. Wow, it's tough to catch up with with the camera. We're moving so fast on that bike. So let's put it in reverse. And isn't that an amazing, unique, one-of-a-kind machine? Wow, I can't keep up with him. It does sound great. And it's very maneuverable. So how do you like it?
It's an absolute blast.
Yeah, and you're not stranger to three-wheel motorcycles. What do you think of this one compared to, what can you compare it to?
As someone that's
Here's the mic, hold on. Catch it.
As someone that's owned both ends of the three-wheeler spectrum, anything from performance 2-strokes to utilitarian 4-strokes, this is quite the difference. This has a lot more utilitarian value to it comparatively to anything else, and on top of that, although it's not the same fun aspect, the levels are about the same. While on something that's single person, like the stereotypical deadly in quotation marks three-wheeler that was plastered all over the US in the 80s, that has more fun as a single person. You're riding it, you have a lot more flickability, a lot more control. This is different. This is a multi-user enjoyable experience with, you could put 4, 5, 6 people in the back, 7 or 8 if you're feeling lucky. It's a completely different world. You can use it to just tow stuff around the yard or to move stuff from one place to another, just like the factory built it. Or you could pack all your friends into it and go ride around the local town fair. Or, I mean, you could take it up and down your neighborhood, run around town. You could definitely put stuff in the back of it. And there is a very well coined Ural delay factor, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be doubled or tripled when you're on this thing, because having a Ural motorcycle with 3 wheels is one thing, but then attaching a that to the back of it, that just unlocks a whole new level of oh wow, what in the world is this thing? it's an unexplainable experience, and I would really love for everyone to try this thing. But if you're looking for, if you have any of the criteria that this checks off, then you're not going to find an any more unique vehicle than this, because just the sheer rarity of it, on top of, well, there aren't many similar things to it. Both of those combined, you get something that's just out of this world, super cool, super rad. Just both thumbs up from me.
Awesome. So it was very interesting to hear Grisha's input, because he's been riding three-wheel bikes for a long time. So what are the models of the bikes that you've ridden?
So I started off first with a Honda ATC 110, 4-stroke, half performance, half utility, cool little runaround trike. Then got a YT 175, which is the 3-wheeled 2-stroke performance one. Don't recommend 2-strokes, they blow up a lot, and that one's a pain in the butt to work on. Third of all, my most favorite one, and the one that shares most traits with this, was the Kawasaki KLT 250 Prairie. That one was a purely utilitarian 3-wheeler, trailer hitch, storage compartments, and a true, like, 4-stroke that you could just put anywhere and it would just take you out of wherever you had to go. And this shares a lot of the same features, traits, reliable, with 2 wheels in the back, 1 in the front, 4-stroke, doesn't blow up, and yeah.
And the room for comfortably for 6 people. So we're gonna ask Grisha to run the camera. We're gonna take it around the building. Let's do it. And he doesn't know it, but we managed to start this up on a first kick after just on a cold start. So we're going to try it again. Let's do it. So hold on. Can we see this?
Yeah.
Okay, and for those viewers that now you may be questioning, does it have an electric start? Yes, it does, and we're going to use it. So Ural motorcycles, before we started, they have a huge starter motor. It's a little bit bigger than a Honda from the 80s and 90s, 4-cylinder Honda cars, and it has a massive alternator. The alternator, I believe, runs 50 or 55 amps. So you can run your own little welding station if you wanted to. But let's get it started with electric start. So I'm inviting you for this unique test ride. And I'm going to show you another unique feature on the Ural. I happen to have, I didn't know I was going to do this, but I happen to have wide shoes. So on a motorcycle, I'm not going to shift like this. I'm actually going to use my toe and my heel. I love this. This is a nice function, and if you shouldn't be riding in sneakers or like a beach wear, but if you happen to be wearing that like I am today, you have a way out. So we have your typical Ural controls: throttle, clutch, which is nice and smooth, very, very easy. We also have something that many motorcycles don't have. In the new Urals, they have a hydraulic steering damper. So this one has a manual one. It's a friction style. It has front brakes, which are Brembo, and we have the foot brake, which is from a Russian Moskvich. It is awesome. So we're going to take off. And yes, we're taking off in the first gear, in the high gear. We did not get into the low gear reduction yet. So we're going to take it around the building. We're going to pick up some speed. And I have a nice back support right here. It's a little firm, but you know, I can put my jacket there if I'm really riding for a while. I'm in the second gear and it feels phenomenal. Oh, this is the right vehicle to park near, this G-Class. Oh, they're side by side, the same technology. So You know what? We're gonna throw it in the low gear. We're gonna go up the curb, and all we need to do right here is, that's it. I'm in low gear. And in low gear, wow, I am in idle, and I go over the curb practically in idle. So this is the first gear. And it feels unbelievable. We're not going to go up that hill. We could, but we're not going to. But you can just see how easy it is to go up in first gear. Check this out. It just goes. Check it. Oh, Grisha slid back. Well, get out. Just take a picture of this, a video, so we can see. So, not that I'm gonna go there, there's nowhere to go, but if I had to, I could, and check this out, we could just release the clutch a little bit more. It just wants to go. It just wants to go. Easy. It's effortless. Well, I wish we had a little bit of room there, but we're gonna back up. And you can see it's just effortless. Check this out. If I have to climb this rock, it's all done at idle. It just doesn't feel it. That's amazing. So we're gonna go in reverse. And again, in reverse, we're still in low gear. So we'll pick up Grisha. Come on in. Now that we know our low gear works, and it works awesome. I wish we had a little bit more time to go up that hill, and we may do it later, but we'll just continue with the test drive. Oops, we're in reverse. So again, here's the reverse lever right here. When you put it out of reverse, it automatically goes in neutral. So we're in high gear, it still feels awesome. And we're just gonna take it on the road just a little bit. Because many of people asked, is this something roadworthy? Well, we'll see it now. We're in Interstate 111 in the town of Boxborough. I just took off in second gear, and we're picking up speed nicely. We're gonna take some back roads. We have turn signals. Check them out right here. Turn signals. We got turn signals. Second gear. Third gear. Third gear. Fourth gear. And it feels very nice. It's awesome. It's actually easier than a regular Ural. And we're in fourth gear. I'm gonna downshift. We're in third gear. And it's doing awesome. How is it back there? I think it's starting to rain, so we're gonna turn around. So I'm gonna turn around, and I'm gonna pick up a little bit of speed. So we're gonna try to go like a speed demon. So hang on. Yeah, we're gonna clear the turn. So we're gonna stop. The brakes are awesome, by the way. It stops nicely with all 3 brakes. So we're gonna put it in first gear, high gear, and oops, sorry about that, Grisha. Are you hanging on? So it was nice and smooth, no shaking, no vibrations, very confident feeling like you're controlling the vehicle. Obviously, you have to be very careful on the turns because it's still a 3-wheel vehicle. So don't get excited, don't get carried away, and use common sense. If you end up with this vehicle, definitely remember that it's got 3 wheels on the ground and it can tip. So we're taking a left into AlphaCars. We have blinkers. I just thought of something. This is an awesome vehicle as a tour vehicle. You can have your participants in the back and you can give them the tour. In fact, we can give you a little tour of AlphaCars. We're going to go in places that we don't usually show. So let's do it. So we're going to put it in first gear, and so we're in front of our showroom, and I'm going to put it in low gear too because that's it. I am in low gear and idle. Check this out. So we're in front of our AlphaCars building. Here's a 2011 Mercedes SL 550, nice German V8, and there are a lot of goodies in that showroom. And we have 4 other showrooms, one in Acton, Massachusetts, one in Spencer, Massachusetts, and we have the whole dealership in New Hampshire, Northampton, New Hampshire. So we are in the back of our showroom. We have about 25-30 feet slope over there. We have to build this up in order to build the showroom. And check this out. I'm talking with 2 hands and the bike is just idling. And I think this is the perfect tour vehicle. Not to mention you can get into tough off-road situations. So we're gonna make our way around the AlphaCars building. And we have some other unique vehicles right here. Check out this Plymouth Reliant. That you can see it now on our website. And this is the back of the showroom. You can see the Hummer H1, the Chevelle SS, the Ford Mustang, the original Ford Mustang. So we're gonna pick up some speed. We're gonna put it in high gear. And let's keep going. This is the original Subaru STI, and no, it was not in the accident. We actually removed all the original parts to have access to properly do rust proofing. You would say this is extreme. Yes, we're kind of extreme when it comes to quality here at AlphaCars. This is our project, we just started off now. 1997 BMW 840, 100% original vehicle. And we're making back to our main building. Over here we have, the lights are shut down, but that's our rear carport carport where we store Ural crates, Royal Enfield crates, and bikes for service. We have a couple of G-Class. We specialize in the G rust repairs, and of course regular maintenance too. Here's a nice Audi R8, and someone just dropped off this GL63. And this is Grisha's favorite, 740IL. We just completed all the work on this car, and there will be a nice video on that one. So we just made our way back. And don't forget to put any bike in neutral before you let the clutch go. It was absolute pleasure to demonstrate this unique Ural motorcycle for your viewing enjoyment, hopefully. Don't forget to subscribe, and please let us know which videos you like the best by simply clicking the like button. Thank you for viewing this video.